Hey you guys, what is up? Adam here bringing you the 2012 Bentonville City Championship Finals. On the right we have Kevin Murphy playing straight Darkrai, and on the left we have Michael Kendle playing Rayquaza Eelektrik. It should be a really good matchup, always fun to watch, really interesting. Darkrai obviously very good attacker against the Eelektриks, doing 90 and 30, but at the same time Rayquaza EX hits like a truck, is known for that, and it'll be a really fun matchup to see. We saw that Kevin Murphy kind of outsped and won game one, but Michael Kendle will get to pick who goes first in the second game and gets a one-card mulligan advantage, which is a time he's instantly going to bench it, just because there's no reason not to. You know that Darkrai isn't really going to threaten the turn one unless, basically a next-to-stack deck, and in that case you might lose anyways. But, yeah, so Michael kind of behind the eight ball that he's lost game one. That means that he has to win a game going first and then win a game going second, but it certainly is doable. I'm not sure if he's running Victini. It is a really great tech against Darkrai still. Not so much against Keldeo decks. I know people have kind of dropped it for the most part because of that, but I'm still actually a pretty big fan of it just because most Landorus-based decks that I've been seeing in the metagame are also incorporating Darkrai, or the big basic ones, which I guess still run Switch. But Darkrai variants still give Rayquaza Eelektrik probably just about as much trouble as anything, just because of the efficiency of Night Spear hitting two Pokemon for 90 and 30. And man, we're going to see a really large set of mulligans here from Kevin Murphy. I haven't looked over this footage in a little bit of time, so bear with me. It's not the most fresh in my head. I actually am probably seeing this for the first time, in all honesty. I was not watching at the time of these two playing this match. I'd also like to just give a special thanks to all my subscribers. I know I just recently broke the 400 subscriber mark. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a special or not. And oof, again, Kevin Mulligans. I think he's only running maybe about 4 Sableye, 3 to 4 Darkrai, and I know he runs a Keldeo tech for Russian. So that'll actually help against Victini. But Kevin really having some serious mulligan troubles, and this is a scary place you're entering because you're giving your opponent so many card advantages. You wonder how many level balls, ultra balls, lightning energies to discard that Mr. Kendle has been given access to due to this large series of mulligans, and it looks like we finally are going to get this game underway. Michael will pick to go first because that's how best of series work, and he definitely has a big hand. It's pretty ginormous, so I'm expecting to see some Ultra Ball action, things like that. There's an Ultra Ball for 2 Lightnings. As I said, that huge 4-card or whatever mulligan advantage that Michael was given is just going to be really big. He's searching through his deck, going to see what's prized, what's not. Always very important, and something I haven't been doing as much lately. He's actually going to grab out the Rayquaza, which is an interesting choice. I think the idea is that he wants to put pressure on his opponent's Sableye. 1 Dragon Pulse will obviously put 40 damage on and basically get him halfway to the KO. And he's going to Skyla for the Juniper, which is kind of interesting. You see the switch in his hand. He's going to attach a Lightning, and there is the Dragon Pulse. He discards an N and a Sky Arrow Bridge. I'm not sure what his bridge count is. If it's 2, that bridge discard isn't a big deal. If it's 1, that could actually really change the outcome of the game later. Hard to read from Kendle, just his expression. Obviously, limited amount of him is on screen, and obviously good players usually try and keep calm when, even if they've discarded something that really might hurt them down the line. But anyways, Kevin is going to end. This is really one of the disadvantages of Top Cut in a situation where there was a coin flip. There's a 50% chance Kevin would get to go first, and he would have obviously end away his opponent's setup. So game 1 is going to actually, or game 2 is actually going to end here, as we see Kevin has no way to get a Pokemon, and that's just going to be a straight Dragon Pulse for KO. So, surprise, we're also moving on to game 3 in this one. Just thought I'd put these two together. I don't think anyone really wanted to watch that 4.5-minute video, so both these players are going to shuffle up. Especially Kevin after that really horrendous series of mulligans, and then only seeing the Sableye. I'm sure he runs 4 Ultra Balls. It's a really great card in Darkrai, just because of the discard is actually very positive, especially when you're running a straight Darkrai version like this. Kevin's probably running a very large number of Dark Pokemon, and That's going to or dark energy, and that's going to definitely increase the effectiveness of his dark patches running a high Ultra Ball count. So Kevin, a little frustrated by that one, and understandably so. But he does get one. He gets a basic Pokemon on his first draw, which isn't as big of a deal now, obviously, because he gets the first turn and could potentially end away an opponent's mulligans. But he's going to start Sableye, and again, Mr. Kendle starts with that Rayquaza. That's going to put a lot of pressure on his opponent's Sableye. I think that's definitely an underrated thing in this format that people don't recognize. And Kevin's going to put down a second Sableye, not wasting any time. He's going to Ultra Ball away a Dark Patch and a Sableye. I definitely like getting rid of the Sableye. You already have two on the field. You're probably not going to need that third one. And you probably even have a fourth in your deck. The Dark Claw is still a very, very good card. The 110 that it does to the active with Night Spear, along with two regular 30 snipes, can actually knock out Rayquaza EX. No Ray Eelektrik run Eviolite or any tools, really. There's just not room for it. So Kevin is in a bit better of a spot here. He's got some really nice stuff that he has access to by Junk Hunt, including a Dark Patch that'll get him an extra energy drop on his next turn, and he's also going to grab back an Ultra Ball. The potion could have been really nice. It would have given his Sableye an extra turn, but I think he's actually thinking of trying to get off the turn 2 Night Spear, not even worry about that. It's interesting to note that Secret Rare or Dragon Vault regular Rayquaza is actually not a very good attacker against Darkrai, specifically because it has exactly 120 HP. That means that the 90 to the active and then the 30 snipe will knock it out. However, if it does start getting shreds off, it can be really hard to deal with. Kevin cannot one-shot it, which is also important. So 2 shreds, basically if he shreds before any damage is done to him, will knock out any of Kevin's Pokemon. And so now we're going to see Michael play a Level Ball. He's going to get out another Dynamo. You want to get at least 2 on that first turn, if not 3. He's shuffling up, so that makes me think he doesn't have access to another one, which is a bit unfortunate. But he does have a Juniper. Oh, no, he has some Ultra Balls. So if I were in his shoes, I would definitely consider getting out another Dynamo. But he's going to Dragon Pulse. He's going to get rid of an Eelektrik and a Skyla. Losing the Skyla isn't too bad, but losing the Eelektrik might hurt. I don't know his Super Rod count. That's always an interesting thing. Kevin's going to play an Energy Search simply to thin his deck. He'll also have access to it by Junk Hunt if he wants it later. He already had attached, so really he's now hoping to hit off of this and both a Dark Patch and a Energy Switch. So it's a lot to hit for just one turn or one end. So we'll see. I'm pretty skeptical that he's going to get off the Night Spear this turn, but there's the Dark Patch. So if he has an Energy Switch, he has it. You know, it's just a lot to hit off a 6-card end. He benches another Darkrai. He's going to check his discard. He doesn't have another Dark in there, but it looks like he has 2 Dark Patches. So my guess is he'll Junk Hunt for the Energy Search and the Dark Patch, which he does. Definitely a good grab that way. You'll be able to recycle that energy from the Sableye when it gets knocked out. You'll put your opponent at odd prizes, which isn't so bad, as Kendle's going to discard a bunch of stuff, including his Keldeo Tech, it looks like, and an Energy Retrieval. He also put down a Rayquaza EX. So now, really, he's got to go into get Dynamos out mode. Clearly, he didn't have an Ultra Ball in his hand. I thought he might have before, but if he Junipered it away before playing it, that probably suggests that he didn't. It looks like he does have one here now, though. And the question is, what do you go for? Do you go for some Eelektriks to really start powering up that Rayquaza to respond to that first Darkrai that you know is coming the next turn, pretty much no matter what? Or do you go for setting up more Dynamos? He actually has 3 in play, though. I didn't see that third one until just now, so definitely play as Eelektrik then. Once you have 3 Dynamos at this point, you really need to start preparing for that Darkrai. Having a response to Darkrai is probably the best thing to do to preserve those Dynamos and Electrics. You know, if you're not Night Spearing, you're not going to be putting pressure on your opponent's board. So that's one Dynamotor that he'll have access to. He's also going to attach for turn, which I think is smart. That way, his requirements are really only the fire energy and just a single Dynamotor. He does have Bridge out too, so that's going to be a really big deal. Give him flexibility in terms of where he can Dynamotor, and he just hit another Electric off a prize. So that's going to be really big, especially since he had already discarded one with his Dragon Pulse. But Kevin's going to get out that first Night Spear. He also gets a Dark Patch, so he's setting up the second Rayquaza. But this is going to be a potentially big play here. What's going to happen is that he's going to take out one Electric, and Kendle will then have two in the discard, one in his hand, so then just one unaccounted for. He's also going to knock out Sky Arrow Bridge, which is another really big deal. So Kevin definitely making a big move here. I really like the knocking out of that bridge. I think it was the last game that he Dragon Pulsed his own bridge away, so although he will probably still have access to another one, I think, it's still going to be rough, especially in this turn. You need to respond to this Darkrai, otherwise it could knock out some really important stuff on your side of the field. None of his Pokemon have free retreat, so there's no really good way to attach the fire and get that Pokemon out of the active spot unless you play a switch, which Kendle, I think, has already discarded at least one, and his Keldeo Tech, so things are definitely getting complicated on his side of the field. His hand is a Catcher, an Ultra Ball, and a Juniper. A bit unfortunate in that it's just one card short of being able to play that Ultra Ball and Juniper. So now the question is really going to become, is it worth it to try and Dragon Pulse? You also have to remember that Tropical Beach is in play and is available to Kendle as well. I think that's something people often forget, and actually is a card that can really help out Rayquaza Electric. I don't think it's a card that the deck has enough room for itself, but it's definitely still very beneficial. So Kendall's going to search through his discard, figure out what he's lost. I think I heard him saying something after this game about there being 2 Electrics in the prize, but he's going to be able to Super Rod here. And we see he's grabbing out 2 Eels and 1 Dynamo. He did discard the one off the Pulse. He's going to Level Ball straight for that Electric. So we've got 2 in play. He's got an Energy Search, which is really going to help. He's going to get a Fire, so that's going to be big. And he doesn't have access to a Switch, I don't think. But he's definitely in a good spot. And this game suddenly doesn't look so bad for him. He's probably going to end up losing the Secret Rare Rayquaza in a turn or two, but honestly, that isn't all that important of a card. I think it's in his best interest to just Beach again, or Beach for a first time. But he's going to Dragon Pulse, and he gets rid of the Switch. So he does get another Lightning in the discard, but losing that Switch is going to hurt. This is going to give Kevin another turn to set up for that second Darkrai, which is a really big deal. Now it's not really just a response to one, but you have to be able to respond to 2 in a row. He does have 2 Rayquazas and 2 Electrics out, so that isn't an impossibility, especially when you already have some energy on that first Rayquaza. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see how this one plays out. One player has the stronger board at the moment, but Kendall's ability to just one-shot things in this EX format is insane. An Eviolite's going to come down, though, and that's going to be a game changer. So that second Rayquaza is going to be the one that's hard to respond to. Kevin doesn't have a catcher in this situation, which makes things a little bit easier for him, or for Michael. Had he lost another Electric, it would put 60 on the one. Things would get pretty scary. Kevin also now has, if he has a catcher later, he has 2 Pokemon that he can knock out with just 30 Snipe, which is a big deal. Both that active Rayquaza and that benched Electric. And if he can't Night Spear, or if he can't Dragon Burst here, it's going to be a really big deal for him. I don't see him winning if he doesn't take a prize this turn. It's just kind of the way this one's going to work out. You need some speed in your deck right now. He does have a Juniper in his hand, so let's not really count him out yet. He's getting out that third Dynamo, which is going to be important. You know you're going to lose an Electric in a turn. So it's very important to, kind of keep that energy acceleration going. And here's the Juniper. I'm not sure about his switch count. It might be higher than mine, although I do see him running a lot of tech cards like that Retrieval, things like that. So I think he even runs an energy switch, which would be also helpful now. So he's going to attach a fire to his active, and this is definitely not the road you wanted to take. You wanted to be able to take a prize this turn. If you could catch her out and Dragon Pulse the other Darkrai, that would be a big deal. That would have probably kept him in this game still. It would have just made his responses easier. But he's going to Pulse this active, and he discards another Electric. And this is the play style that's kind of surprised me. Just the willingness to Pulse like this. I know personally I'm a little more conservative than that. I just don't see really, I guess, what the 40 does for him. I guess it would make it so that you only have to discard 2 energy. So I think that's actually what he's going for. And in that sense, it's pretty good. He has gotten burnt a little bit by the specific discards, but if you look at it, he's definitely got 1 KO already prepared. So it's really just going to come down to, can Kevin get enough energy in play to weather this storm and really kind of try and close this one out. He's going to retreat, which is going to be a big deal. He's going to play 2 energy switch, another really, really nice play there. And he's going to Juniper. So it looks like the 1 KO that Kendle has really burnt all his resources, or burnt through quite a bit of resources to set up, is no longer really that relevant to board control. There's another Dark Patch. And if Kevin has another Eviolite, he shouldn't play it. I don't think Michael's Tool Scrapper has been played. If it's in the discard, you can play it. But if not, you just want to hold on to it just so he only scrappers for 1. You don't want to make his job easier. And so now we're going to see the Night Spear for those 2 prizes. A catcher, again, would have been really helpful. If he had a catcher for the Electric, I'd go as far as to say that that would have maybe even clinched him this game. He did Juniper and whiff on it. I'm not sure how many he's played so far. I'm thinking that at least 1 or 2 have to be still prized, just based on his not hitting them. But we'll see where this goes. So Kendle has, it looks like, 2 energy, 2 lightning on each Rayquaza, and a fire on each one. So he needs 4. He would need a way to get an energy, and or 2 energy on that active one. So I guess he could Dynamotor, and if he has an attachment, and then he could retreat. That would make it harder for the next turn. But he's actually going to Skylar for the catcher. So I like this play in that you're going to be able to keep charging up that benched one. You're going to prepare that for later. He's going to Ultra Ball, get rid of a fire, and it looked like maybe an Enter or Juniper, some sort of supporter. I can't tell which just by that little kind of fraction of it. But so now you're getting back your Dynamotors. He is prepared to take 2 KOs in 2 turns. So that'll be really big. That'll bring him down to 1 prize. And I really think this game comes down to if Kevin has catchers. The fact that he whiffed the catcher last turn is now proving to be a really big deal. Had he taken 2 eels off the board, that just would have been huge. But now we're going to see that Kendle is going to be able to take a KO in 2 turns in a row. He's going to get those 2 Dynamotors onto that Rayquaza. And he's going to retreat, and okay, so he's actually going to take out this big one. So that's a really big move for him. He brings it down to a very close. If he has an N, that could be a big deal, and Kevin finally has a catcher, which is nice. Now that a lot of the energy's off the field, that's going to really help. You're not going to see a giant Dragon Burst. You could see if he has an attachment, you could see maybe a Dragon Burst for 180. It really hurts that he didn't have access to the Eviolite. I don't know if he runs another one. I think he has to. So I guess I would have held off on playing that Darkrai. I think, playing the random receiver, knowing you get the Skyla, and then maybe seeing what that Skyla can bring would help. The Eviolite would definitely throw off your opponent's math. We see Kevin has his Keldeo in his hand. I don't see it being too helpful in this matchup. You might want to hang on to it though, just for paralysis. He's going to discard a Sableye and a Tool Scrapper with his Ultra Ball, which I like. You already have a Sableye on the bench, and it's probably not going to be that much in your interest to junk hunt this late in the game, just because you're pretty much going for the kill. So that one Sableye is definitely going to do it. Tool Scrapper is not a card that gets run. So he's going to search through, and he's going to grab a Bianca with the Skyla, so I guess he's just setting up for drawing on the next turn. I didn't see another Eviolite, but even if he did have one and he had done this misplay, he could have Tool Scrappered his own Dark Claw, actually, and then from there he could have just gotten rid of the Dark Claw by himself and then attached the Eviolite. But he's going to... Okay, he's going to, it looks like, preserve the healthy Darkrai, and this is kind of surprising. So I guess he's going to try and maybe set up a KO on that Rayquaza. He does only need an active Night Spear and a bench Night Spear to take it out. It's interesting that he attacks the one with no energy, or with no lightning energy on it, rather than the one with lightning energy. That's probably not the one that's going to get promoted next turn. But Kevin also probably has access to a lot of catchers. It also forces him to, he's also forced to bring up this one with the energy. He doesn't want to get rid of his fires. This is really a great position for Kevin to be in right now. He's up on prizes. He's really set his opponent to a 2-turn clock. And it's just going to be very difficult for Kendle to come back. It's certainly not impossible. If he has another bridge, that could speed things up. He might want to start, his deck is also pretty thin. He might want to start trying to get out another Dynamo. He does have the level ball. It really doesn't seem like it's too much of a big hurt if it gets KO'd. You know, you already have something that can get Catcher and Night Spirit on your bench. And you already do have Kevin with this Dark Claw, Darkrai, which is going to set up a KO on that one Rayquaza EX. It looks like Kendall also has the Gold Potion in his hand, which could come into huge amounts of play. That is a game-changing card in his hand for sure. You know, especially if Kevin tries to set up this KO on this one Rayquaza, that's going to be big. And it looks like Kendall only has one Dynamo left, or one Dynamo left. That's not going to be an option. Setting up more Eelektrik, I think, is probably only playing one Super Rod, so he's rather exhausted on resources. And he's got the fire in hand. The question is, do you attach the second fire and burst the 2 fire? That's what his decision making is coming down to. He needs the Dynamotor as well. So there is that. And really, I think a catcher would seal the game up for Kevin. Just now that you're going to discard those 2 fires, you'll have really just no way to get that last KO. So here it is. He's going to attach the Dark to Sableye and energy switch it. Benches a Keldeo and Bianca's for 6. Does he have a catcher? Doesn't look like he has one. I think he'd play it. Yeah, it looks like he whiffed on whatever he wanted. I think it probably was the catcher just to slow down your opponent's board. Now with Kendall at 1 prize, if he knocks out the Sableye, he actually can win. So that's a big new win condition introduced, is just knocking out a Sableye. That only requires 1 more energy, or if he actually just draws a lightning energy, he threatens to win this game. So, yep, there are 2 catchers in that discard. Clearly understood that was a big whiff on Kevin's part. That's going to hurt. and he's going to put the one Rayquaza up. It looks like Kendle just drew a lightning energy, so that's going to be game, in fact. Oh, that was a huge top deck. Kevin knows it. He sees a lightning here. All he has to do is Dynamotor, and there it is. That's going to be the game. Michael Kendle is your 2012 Bentonville City Champion. Kevin played a great couple of games there, you know, some big kind of whiffs and things like that. Both ways, though. Obviously, this game was not, you know, completely one-sided or anything like that. It wasn't determined by luck. Certainly some really nice plays on both sides. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you rate, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will catch you guys later.